What's up, people? Little review time here. I've got a bunch of other footage that I'm gonna stick in this video, but for this part, I'm not gonna get out the tripod because I can't be bothered. And anyway, I just want to show you what this is. This is the GameSir Marsback, and this was sent to me to do a review on. Yeah, man. And I'm gonna review it for iOS because my Android phone is so old that it wouldn't be fair. But it does work with iOS. You can do all this cool stuff. So anyway, it comes in a pretty nice box. Retro console guide. I don't need to read this because I assume that you can read. Yeah. Okay. Abundant retro games. Yeah. This is, like I said, it's a good box. Shaky. If you're into packaging, they did a good job on this, I thought. So this is important. You'll want to keep this if you buy this. It's on Kickstarter right now. I'll put a link in the description. I think it's just a little over $30. And I could see how some people could get some fun out of it. It's a toy. So you use these and you get the app and you do the stuff. And it works. You can download games. It's not necessarily illegal. So I was careful to get games that I already own because I don't want to deal with issues. You know what I mean? So, and I won't be showing any Nintendo stuff, but you know, it does play Nintendo games. There is one major issue, though, that we're going to talk about now. Okay. The design's kind of cool. It's a neat idea, right? And it seems well constructed, like it doesn't feel cheap. It's got a good weight to it. So what you do, well, I said that, but yeah, it's alright. So just slightly, I don't think the table's not flat. It's an issue with a little tiny bit wobbly on the bottom, but it's not anything worth complaining about. This is not clicky, so you just kind of got to get used to it. You've only got 4 buttons, and that's the thing. Like, you can play 16-bit games on this, and probably even better than that. But with only 4 buttons, even if you can, which you can, even though you can map the buttons, they're only 4, right? I mean, I guess maybe you could do something with the select button on some games, but this plays MAME and arcade and stuff. And what you're meant to do is take your phone and stick it in here like this. And that's, again, a neat idea, but the execution, unfortunately, leaves a bit to be desired because what happens on a lot of games is the screen buttons come up right here, and then you have the screen for the game itself above that, and that works out perfectly with the way that this syncs into it. However, with a lot of them, once you start using these buttons, the on-screen ones disappear and the graphics slide down, and then when you've got the phone in here, whoops, and you can't see everything. There's an easy fix. Obviously, you just stick something in this hole, right, like cardboard or something like that. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just like, I think, you know, maybe if they make another one, they can add more buttons and do something about that. Or maybe have like a little lever here that can raise it up. Also, you can do it horizontally, which you'll want for some games. It's a little bit close to the controller, right? And you don't get much of an angle, but it's all right. I mean, it works for what it is. And it's cute. It definitely looks cooler like this. You know, you want to play like that. So I almost want to just put games on it that can be played like that and keep the phone in there. I don't know. So I'll show you some footage and we can see how it goes. This is a missed opportunity though, the only having 4 buttons, you know, because obvious reasons, right? But I mean, for $30, it's a tough call. If you find some games you really want to play and you're good at messing with what am I trying to say? Programming, then it's okay. I can't give it like a 5 stars out of 5, but I'm not going to say that it's bad. It controls pretty well, and there's not a lot of input lag. Like, I felt like pretty good about that. There might be a tiny bit, but it's manageable kind of thing. And it probably depends on which emulator you're using. So I'll show some of it. Unfortunately, in my experience, I've had trouble. Like, some games that just don't work. Sometimes there's issues with sound, and that could be the ROMs, you know. And other times, just talking about the negatives, other times I get the game to work, but I can't get the buttons to map properly. And honestly, that could be me. But I mess with this kind of stuff enough that means that some people are going to have the same problem. You know, But if you're really good at it, maybe you can get it to work, or maybe it is in here. I honestly can't say for sure. I got Dodo and Pachi to run really well, but I have yet to get it to work so that I can use the buttons the way that they're meant to. Like I just have one button that works kind of thing. And sure, it can be played that way, but right. So here's some footage. What I will say is Mega Drive games have worked pretty well for me, and yeah, that's kind of the main one. But again, you have to be careful about what games you get. And obviously, Mega Drive, a lot of the games are only 3 buttons, so maybe Mega Drive is the way to go. I don't know. Although I think on AliExpress they sell, and I don't know how good it is, I haven't bought it, but there's like a little arcade thing like this with a screen in it, and it has a bunch of Mega Drive games or Genesis games installed. I don't know if it's any good, you know, but this is neat, especially if you have a phone laying around. Like this one's still pretty good, I use it for other stuff, but if you have like a iPhone 6 or something like that, stick that in there and just leave it there, I think. If nothing else, it's a place to put your phone. But I mean, I think what I'd say is if I paid 20 bucks for this, I'd be happy with it. If I paid 35, I think I would try to find a way to get my money's worth. You know what I mean? So, but other people, you know, your results, your mileage may vary. So let's look at some other video with not me shaking the camera around. Sorry about that.
Hey, just cutting in here. I'm totally editing this video in the bathtub because that's how I roll. And I just wanted to give some credit where it's due. It's very cool that this program or this app that they give you runs on the iPhone without any jailbreaking or anything, and you can download the ROMs through that, and it takes care of all that for you. So that by itself is worth, you know, a bit of money. So when I think about it that way, I think this is kind of a cool deal. Now, having said that, for all I know, you might be able to just take a photo of the barcodes that I showed in this video and get access to that, because I'm not sure that you have to use this controller. You know what I mean? I kind of think you don't. And so there's that. The other thing I wanted to say was the controller would cut out sometimes, like when I was going back and forth between games in my library and stuff like that, but I never had a problem with it cutting out like during the game. And then you just pop into the menu and, you know, reconnect it, and it connects pretty fast. So it's actually a pretty dang good toy. So I'm hoping that they'll support it, maybe give it some updates and things. And I'm not as down on it as I may have sounded in the video. And the fact that it works and I can do all this stuff with my iPhone that is totally up to date. It's got the newest software, or firmware, I should say. It's pretty dang cool. Hey, all right, back to my bath.
Okay, so it works for some games. This one actually works pretty well. Eliminate down for the Mega Drive, which I have 2 copies. So just I'm not a pirate or whatever. Anyway, it's a good little toy, but it definitely requires a lot of fiddling, at least on iOS. Yeah, a lot of games don't work. You've got 4 buttons, right? So you're not going to be able to play a lot of games that require 6 buttons or whatever. And you can map the buttons, but on a lot of the MAME stuff, as I showed you, or arcade stuff, or other things, sometimes it's really hard to figure out, or it just simply doesn't work. I don't know if I'm too stupid or what, and maybe the developers will say that's the case. I'm not convinced. But it's fun to fiddle with it, and it's a good toy to have if you have like an old, this isn't that old, but like an old iPhone or Android that you're not really using. Might as well do something with it, right? So you can just stick it in there, yeah? And that's kind of fun, right? I don't know. I can't give it like a full-fledged thumbs up, but it's a fun little toy, and I think maybe if there's like a few firmware updates, it might get better.